This episode is brought to you by Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard of Anchor, you should definitely check them out. It's a super easy tool that anyone can use to create and distribute their podcast. It has everything you need, and you can do it all from your computer or even your phone. Need your podcast cover art? There's a tool. Music and sound effects? They have you covered. Want to record on the fly? It's easy with the app. Now you may be saying to yourself, I already have a podcast. No worries, just create your account, upload, and publish to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Looking for some walking around money? Anchor connects you with advertisers who match your brand. It's a one-stop shop for all of your podcasting needs. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started.
All right, welcome to BizQuik. I'm Julie.
I'm Corey.
Two experts who help small business owners solve problems. Today, we're talking with Jamie Peltz. She's the owner and inventor behind SureSwatch. Jamie's out of Cleveland, Ohio, and she's looking for our help on how to increase brand awareness.
That's right. You're listening to BizQuik. This is where Julie and Corey provide quick and useful information to small business owners. BizQuik is the podcast where small business owners get to showcase their businesses and receive expert advice and guidance in areas many entrepreneurs struggle with. And you, the listener, get solutions, tips, and tricks on real-world topics that many small business owners face. Julie and Corey are the experts small businesses hire when they need solutions. And the BizQuik podcast is just one way they deliver those solutions. Let's start the show.
So today we're talking to Jamie Peltz. She is the owner of SureSwatch, which is, actually I'm going to let Jamie tell us all about the company and everything that they do because it looks really fascinating, but it looks pretty detailed. So Jamie, you want to give us a rundown of what SureSwatch does?
Okay, so if you've ever struggled with picking paint colors, SureSwatch helps you with picking your paint colors. What it is, it's a clear film that's got a low-tack adhesive on it, and you paint the film, and then you're able to stick it up on your wall, and you can see how the paint looks like on your wall. The nice part is you can put it on multiple walls at the same time in multiple rooms, so it gives you a clear view of what your color is going to look like. And then when you're ready to paint, you just peel it off, and the wall is clean when you're ready to paint.
Oh, interesting. All right, so that's pretty unique.
Yes.
How long have you guys been in existence?
So we've been in retail distribution for 7 years now. Basically in Home Depot and Ace Hardwares. The company itself has probably been in existence for 9 years because there was the development period of while we were figuring out how to make the product, the R&D behind it, and then selling it as well. But we rolled it out this summer in 7 years ago, which would be 2013. So July 2013, we rolled into all the Home Depot stores.
Okay.
And this is nationwide?
It is nationwide, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you offer any other services, like in terms of, like for somebody like myself who doesn't understand colors and how they work, like in terms of like picking colors, matching, that type of stuff?
Yeah, not at this point. Basically, it's still just a product. It comes in a couple different sizes. So we have a 3-pack, which is sold at Home Depot. We also have a 15-pack and a 50-pack, which are sold online, as well as a large sheet that's 27 by 38. So if you really want to know how the color looks, you can paint the large sheet and look at it on your wall.
Can I ask about the inspiration of the product?
So kind of go backwards to 2007. I found myself unemployed. And I decided I was going to be an entrepreneur. And I'm not quite sure what that statement meant, but I had worked for a company for 17 years, and I was like, I'm just not jumping back into the corporate game. And I had seen some people like develop stuff and they sold it and licensed it. I'm like, oh, I can go do this. And we started developing products. And usually my products come from either a problem I've had or watching people do stuff. And I've always struggled with picking paint colors. I'll always say I did work for a paint company, but this came years after working for the paint company. But I always struggled picking out paint colors. And I was like, why is this a permanent process when it should be temporary? So if you've picked paint colors, they tell you to paint it on your wall. well, then you're stuck with these blobs all over your wall and you can't get rid of the colors you don't like. So we went down the path of trying to figure out how to make it temporary and kind of solving a consumer problem as well as a problem that I had. I always say this biggest struggle we've had is, if you think about painting, people don't paint every year, okay? So a customer that I had last year is not my customer this year. So most people paint every 7 to 10 years. So someone who might have bought us in 2013 are maybe coming back around now, but the customer we had back in the beginning, or last year, may not be necessarily the customer we have today. And so we've had a difficult time. I would say one of the biggest things is building awareness for the product. And I think that's my focus. And sometimes I make waves and sometimes I don't. I have a website, and we're actually finally now, I'm like, oh, it's not so bad. I think I'm getting like 50 people a day to the website, but that's only like 1,500 people a month, right? And so for me to grow the business, I need to get like 10,000 people to the website. And the numbers, if I went back a year ago, I maybe was getting like 5 or 10 people to the website. So I am growing it, but it's just not growing it as fast as I like it to grow, because I know we can be selling more than we are.
So who are your primary customers? Are they like homeowners themselves?
We've always considered the homeowner our primary customer. I don't want to call it a little upscale. Okay, so markets I do really well in is like Washington and Austin, Texas. And so when I look at like geographically, it's higher income, higher priced homes that we seem to do better with. I do believe we're starting to develop some interior designers, because when people who order 15 and 50 packs, more than likely they're an interior decorator. I actually have a survey going out to everyone who's bought on the internet from us. So we also think that some of the times, for a target are people who might be painting again, who went through that, oh my God, I lived with the wrong color for the past 10 years. I want to get it right this time. So.
Sure. So do you have, outside of like Home Depot and is it Ace, the hardware stores, do you have any other kind of strategic partnerships? Are you part of any kind of networking groups, such as, like the interior design networking groups or construction or anything like that?
No, I've not. Yeah, I have not joined any of those. So yes, I would tell you no.
Jamie, what % of your sales come via Home Depot and Ace versus like off of your website?
So I would tell you probably 95% of it's coming through retail right now.
Okay.
So in the beginning, I tried Amazon, didn't quite work. The sales actually go through Home Depot right now. One of the main reasons is Depot is going to get much more traffic than I could ever imagine having. I would tell you over the past year, again, I doubled our internet sales, but it's still such a small percentage of it. Because if you're buying our product, you're also buying samples. It's still one of those products that you like to go into the store for, because again, remember, you have all those chips. That's where everyone kind of starts their process. Mm-hmm. And when you just finally decide to paint, you want to do it right away. You don't want to wait for it to get there. And so, again, I believe over time, will internet be 10, 15% of it? We're an ingredient, right? You're not going to say, oh, I got to get SureSwatch. You're like, oh, I got to go try some yellow paint. And then you're like, oh, there's this product called SureSwatch. But if you've not painted it in a while, you don't know we exist. You're like, oh, I'll just put it on a piece of cardboard or I'll put it on my wall.
Yeah. And so I see online that you have the packages where you can get the roller, the everything that you need, and except for the paint, probably. Yeah. Are those packages also available at Home Depot?
So when you say packages, Depot so I'll give you some history. We were in Lowe's about 3 years ago, and Lowe's came out with a program that you could buy this kit, And in the kit, it had SureSwatches, it had your roller and tray. It had like a little book, I think, about how to pick paint colors. And then it had a coupon for buying gallons of paint. It didn't do well. And the main reason I believe it didn't do well is, one was, I think, price point, and it was over-engineered. You know, I'm always like, sometimes marketing people think like, oh God, yeah, like we need to make this beautiful box and the consumer's going to buy it. And it kind of got lost and the program failed and we're no longer in Lowe's. I've always believed a kit, like the little, you have little roller trays that people buy, and there's some way to tie it together, but you have to figure out how to do it economically. I also think people just grab any brush that they have in their house and they put it on the wall. Okay, so where I like have rollers and I, you know, do it nicely, I think they just like slap, because when I've seen things online of how people have used the product, I'm always surprised by it. Like they'll use a foam brush, they won't paint the whole sheet. You know, it's like, and so I think they just grab whatever they have and they paint it. So we've always believed the kit would work, but I've not seen a kit work.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense, especially like for that reason. You're just going to grab whatever brush you have, like whatever, and you're just going to do it your way. And I mean, part of me is torn because it's like, oh, well, I don't care how they use it as long as they're buying it. But if they're not using it correctly, then that might give your brand, your product, a negative.
The interesting thing, and we're hopefully going to find this out, we've sold millions of these sheets. I will say, knock on wood, I've had maybe 5 complaints over the years. So either it's a very low engagement, right? It's a $3 item, and it's like, it didn't work, so I'm not going to do anything about it. Or they buy it and they don't use it. And so I've always been surprised. I don't get a lot of feedback. We did, like I said, this card that I have going out, that is one of the questions we've asked, you know, were you satisfied, to kind of get some of that feedback? Because like I said, over 7 years, I'm like, I got nothing. I'm like, good or bad, right? Like, I don't get people like, oh my God, that was great. I did, when I send out the internet orders now, I always put like a handwritten note in there and I ask people to tell me, and I've gotten from a couple people, one person who like raved about the product and she's like, it saved us so much time. And then this other one who said, I normally use it for painting, but this time I used it to keep my wall clean where my cats eat.
Well, that's one way.
I'm like, all right, you know.
So here's a random question, and this, well, not really random, but gearing towards somebody like myself, because I'm not color savvy whatsoever, and I honestly, if every wall in my house could be white, I'd be okay with that, but that makes me look like a serial killer or something. So, could you get data from Depot or Ace or whomever and be like, here are the top 100 most popular colors or something like that, and have them pre-painted, like pre-colored?
So the interesting thing is that back when we started, that was the original vision, was we were going to have these and then we were going to come out with pre-painted samples. And we went down the route to try and figure out how to do that. I even developed this like book, it's called the White Book, and it has like the top 15 white colors that you could reuse. Ironically, about 2 years ago, a company came out called Sample Ease, and they make pre-painted swatches, and they do a couple of the different brands. They're only available online. I don't know how they're painting them and being profitable. I don't understand the financial dynamics of it, but I do believe, like I said, I do believe there is a market for pre-painted ones. So again, there are people who, go back to the called the home builder or the painter. Typically a home builder gives you 5 different shades you can pick from. So he knows what those 5 shades are, and he could just have a book of those 5 shades.
Mm-hmm.
Or like I said, I had the most popular whites. And they too, if you look online, you'll see the samples. And they came out with a box, and they picked like 15 blues for you. And when I showed it to a couple people, they were kind of like, you know what? And so we've really been playing up more of the customization, like you can have any color. So when you start looking at different targets, there are probably people who, yes, limiting their color choices and picking those 5 colors is nice. But for other people, when they're like, oh, now I got these blues on my wall and these blues don't work. Now I got to go buy another blue because this one was too dark for my living environment.
Yeah.
So I think there is an opportunity for it. I just, like I said, when I looked at it a couple of years ago, I couldn't figure out how to do it economically.
We wanted to take a quick break to tell you more about SB Pace, the small business consulting company that makes this podcast possible. SB Pace, which stands for Small Business Planning, Advising, Coaching, Expertise, focuses solely on helping small businesses and entrepreneurs. Are you looking to start a small business of your own? SB Pace can get you up and running with a solid foundation that's built to last. Are you an existing small business in a slump or just looking for ways to improve what you do? We can help with that. Are you ready to take your business to the next level? SB Pace is the partner you need. You can find out more about SB Pace and what we have to offer by visiting our website, sbpace.com.
Do you have the option, I'm not sure what the packaging looks like, but to put something on the packaging so that when they're buying these sheets in Home Depot or Ace, that it has an opportunity for them to basically fill out a product survey on that's connected to your website, so you get the data. So I know you can't get the data from Home Depot, but if the customer can be driven there themselves because of something that comes in the package, is that an option?
Yeah, it is. So the way the package works right now, there's 3 sheets that goes in a plastic bag. It would be very easy to do that.
Okay. So that's something to consider. Second thought I had was, so your market's probably not, or it might be, but it sounds like, so new home builders, not really, because most builders just do, it's, some people do custom paint jobs. Like I negotiated a custom paint job, but most people, you just get like these 5 or 6 colors to choose from.
Right.
But real estate agents who are selling homes, like selling, let's call them used homes, right?
Right.
Being able to partner or work with, partner with like somebody like Keller Williams or Century 21 or somebody where it's a service that they can offer to their clients who are buying homes that, are like pre-existing homes. And because when you buy a house that someone else has lived, the first thing you want to do is repaint it. So now you've got this option, and that opens up this entire market of people if you're partnering at the real estate agent level. Because, when you're like, when you buy or build a house, you get a ton of like pamphlets and referral things from the real estate agent. It'd be really like, that might be an option to go that direction.
Have you partnered with paint companies like Behr or Sherwin-Williams or whoever? Like so I'm trying to figure out how we can get their salespeople to do the selling for you.
Yeah, all you have to do is get it in the store.
Yeah. So for instance, Behr, and again, I will tell you, I probably in the beginning tried a variety of different things, and then my problem is I think I bounce too much. Like, oh, now I'm focused here, now I'm focused there. Sherwin-Williams, we've tried over the years to get into their stores. They have another product in their stores, and I think they might have an exclusive arrangement with them. Behr, or Glidden, which is now PPG, would be natural because the Behr rep is inside the Home Depot store all the time. They would be a natural fit if I could figure out how to do it. So,
okay.
So I think that's where we should focus, is how can you get these other companies to do the work for you? And if we can get them to do it without you actually having to pay them.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's just, oh, hey, I'm selling paint. Here's a fantastic product that could go with it.
Now, are you trying to get back into Lowe's?
I would like to get back into Lowe's. Again, again, to me, Lowe's and Home Depot don't compete. Like, like consumers have decided they shop at Home Depot or they shop at Lowe's. And so there's a whole segment of the population who has decided they want to go to Lowe's that we're missing out on. And so I would love to get back into Lowe's. So.
Yep. And what's stopping you from getting back into Lowe's?
Hey, Lowe's.
Fair enough.
I mean, again, we can handle the distribution. We can, again, we proved it the last time, adding Lowe's into our supply chain. There's no effect, like I said, because it's a variable cost. And so the shelter workshop brings in what they, whatever I need, they bring in. So, and so we kind of pride ourselves in, we're very efficient. I try and always, if you do any of the measurements on the supply chain side, we try and ship like at 100%. We're always in stock, again, we try and make it no hassle for our retailers, that we're just there. It's not one of those things they have to worry about. And that's probably one of the reasons why I've kept everything domestic, because we can control, again, being a small operation, I can control my inventory and my supply chain, and it's worked out really well. So yeah, so like I said, it's just, getting them to, and Lowe's went through some changes this year as well. So hopefully now they're back, and they're ready to look at it again.
Then hopefully if you don't, you might want to consider also playing up that American made, like on your packaging, right? If it's not on there, that's a huge, huge thing, especially right now. Yeah.
Yep.
What about, you're in Ohio? Is that right?
I'm in Ohio. I'm in Cleveland. Yes.
So you also have Menards out there, right?
Yeah. Menards is up in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they looked at the product at one time, and then for some reason decided not. I'm not sure why. So,
well, I mean, what it almost sounds like, it sounds like, I mean, when you're talking about having like the stay-at-home moms or whatever, like if you could get them to start landing you new accounts, not necessarily selling the product for you, but selling it to people who will sell the product. Right. And they get a cut of whatever that deal is. Or because getting into Menards, getting into like Taylor's, a handful of the other smaller chains,
right.
Any of the mom and pops. I mean, that's
right.
an easy sell right there as well.
Yeah, the mom and pops is a really good.
Right, and that's what, like I said, we are in all the Ace warehouses, and so there's a huge potential on Ace. And what required now on the Ace side is you have to, there are single Ace stores, but there are guys who own 10 Ace stores or 5 Ace stores. And you have to call them and you have to talk about the product. And when I had someone doing that, we got a lot of placement. And I have, like I said, I have a list. I have the list of all the Ace stores. I have all the phone numbers. I have emails. And it's always been like, and I always say my problem is I think so much just sits in my head. And like I said, I have this philosophy that there's these stay-at-home moms that just need a couple hours of work, right? And no one taps them, right? It's like, and so I think they'd be a great resource to, and you pay them some kind of commission or hourly thing, just to get started. And they wouldn't even, if they want, they can leave their house. If not, they don't have to leave their house, so.
Yeah. Are you on Amazon?
No, I was at one point, and then I didn't get a lot of orders. We're actually set up, a good long story, we're actually set up to be a vendor for Amazon, but Amazon only puts you in their warehouse if they see demand for your product. So I'm all set up EDI, like I was approved as a supplier, set up EDI. I'm like, where's my orders? And they're like, well, there's no demand for your product. Well, that has to do with the website traffic and stuff like that. It's not like people sit at home and are like, oh, let's find SureSwatch. That's not what they're searching for. They're searching like for my paint colors. And so that's why I believe it's like I can get the demand of the website up, more traffic there, then it would like trigger Amazon to be putting it in their warehouse. So,
Okay, that makes
and
sense.
I wasn't selling enough in Supplier Central. And again, this was 5+ years ago when I was like on a kick, like, oh, let's get on everyone's e-commerce website. And
I think partnerships is definitely the way to go, whether it's, trying to partner with a paint company, or if it's partnering with like a real estate, whether, Remax or Keller Williams or whomever.
Or all of them.
Yeah, or all of them.
Right.
But yeah, like, and it might be slow going at first, but if you can get a couple of realtors to use your product, because I'm assuming these are reusable, right?
no, they're not. No. Well,
They're not?
let me rephrase that. They're not repaintable. They are reusable.
But yeah, but if I painted 5 different shades of whatever, I could go into any house and just slap them on the wall and.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so and you could even do the deals with the real estate agent where they buy like a bunch of samples, and those samples go in the new homeowner packet.
Right.
Because ultimately you like what you want is you want to make their lives easier. So if you do the research and you're like, here, like in the Northeast, here are the top 10 colors. In the Southwest, here are the top 10 colors. And you just sell that packet, and they can go in and be like, here's some ideas for you.
Right.
Yeah. And you could even do it, Jamie, where you don't necessarily have to go like to get in at like, Keller Williams or Remax or whatever. Like you could search like just like in your own area in Cleveland.
Right.
Find like the top selling real estate agents and broker a deal with them where now it's actually an incentive for them where they're offering something different than other people. And then they might like start telling other people in their office about it or whatnot. But if you go for like the top selling agents to say like, hey, here's this thing, this, additional service you can offer your clients. And typically real estate agents have, they have nice marketing budgets. So they would be able to probably purchase, from you to include that as part of their, materials that they're giving out.
Sure. But also your product's inexpensive. So it's not it's not they're going to be shelling out a ton of money for this. It's a couple of bucks per house, and
Right. I mean, they could buy like, 20 packs of 50, right? And they're
Well, like I said, or they can do one sheet. Like I said, call it a sheet's $1, right?
Yeah.
You don't even have to give out 3. You can always give out just 1. I'm like,
yeah. And then that. You might even be able to get, let's say, Behr or one of these paint companies to sponsor that, because if you say, hey, this is Behr's shade of, whatever, red or
that's
whatever.
That's a good idea.
They would potentially just pay for it so that you're pitching their product, they're paying for it, and you have somebody selling for you. So you're basically hands off.
That's the trifecta. Yeah. I love it. Your website is fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's why, like I said, so last year we relaunched it, and that was like, oh, I'm going to get all this traffic. And I didn't. And what I do know is the traffic I'm getting, I have a very low bounce rate. So I know that people who get there are staying engaged with it. I just need to get more people there. I'm like,
all right. Is there any questions that you have for us, or tell us every way with that a customer could find you and get a hold of you?
Okay, so we'll start on the website, www.sureswatch.com. And then if you go into Home Depot's, you'll find us on the paint counter desk. And then the same way at an Ace store, we're typically on the paint counter. But again, if you go on the website, you'll also find a retail locator on there, so you can check to make sure if it's in your neighborhood.
Nice. And we will put all of that information in the show notes as well, so people can just grab it from there. What about social media? Are you on social media, Jamie?
I am on every channel of social media. So we are on Facebook under SureSwatch. We are under Instagram under SureSwatch. We're under Twitter under SureSwatch. LinkedIn is under Jamie Peltz. And we do have a YouTube channel as well. And we do have Pinterest boards. So I do have the gamut of social media.
I would imagine Pinterest is probably where most of your ideal customers hang out.
I think so. And that's one of the areas I actually need to understand a little bit more. I think I have a good handle on Facebook and Instagram. Pinterest is like a world on its own. And so, I think it's really, I'll call it that 25 to 35-year-old. They're on there all the time, and so it's one of those areas I got to learn a little bit more about.
I was just going to suggest that, there may be some value in looking into I don't know what schools are local to you, like colleges, but there might be check into an intern program for a marketing person where you could maybe get somebody to come in and help you and get them relatively cheap. And if they're not good, then you don't have to keep them very long. Okay. Yeah. So this was great. Hopefully you got some value out of it.
Yeah, no, I think this was great.
Okay. That was a really interesting show today.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Special thanks to our guest, Jamie Peltz. Jamie is the owner and inventor behind SureSwatch.
Jamie reached out to us because she was trying to figure out ways to improve her brand awareness and just increase sales in general. So we walked through that, gave her some ideas, and hopefully you all walked away with a better idea of how to approach your business. You can find Jamie on SureSwatch.com, and you can also check her out on all major social media. You can check out the show notes to get the actual spellings and websites and all the links that will be provided to you.
Also want to say special thanks to all of our listeners. We do this podcast for the small business owners, and we're really glad that you tune in and listen and hopefully take away something that helps improve your business week over week. You should also head on over to our website, sbpace.com. This is where you can sign up to be on the podcast if you're interested in having your small business featured, or if you want to find out more about the services that we offer.
You can also find out about our book, Seriously, Now What? A Small Business Guide to Disaster Preparedness, which you can buy on Amazon or directly through our site, so check that out. And so that's it for today's podcast. I'm Corey.
And I'm Julie.
And that was BizQuik, helping small business owners across the country.